Sister Leader, what if achieving financial wellness was more than just about making money? Today, we're exploring how financial stability and freedom contributes to a thriving life. So let's dive into how managing your finances can empower you to live with more confidence and security. Welcome to the Inspired Well-Minded Woman podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Denise, your wellness mindset and resilience coach. Today, we're diving into financial wellness. Financial wellness is about so much more than just saving and budgeting. It's about creating a life where your finances support your goals and brings you peace of mind. Before we dive in, though, I'd like to invite you to take the free Well-Minded Life self-assessment. This assessment helps you understand where you are on your wellness journey, especially when it comes to financial wellness. You'll find the link in the show notes to get started. Now, let's get into it. Financial wellness starts with creating stability and taking control of your finances. This doesn't necessarily mean wealth, although we all want to achieve a greater level of wealth, and that would be lovely. However, it does mean being able to cover your needs, plan for the future, and have the freedom to make the choices that align with your values and the life you desire. Financial wellness allows you to feel secure and empowered, helping you pursue the lifestyle you desire without feeling constrained by money. Research shows that people who manage their money responsibly experience lower levels of stress, a greater sense of security, and even improved physical health. So when we prioritize our financial wellness, we're not just setting ourselves up for success, we're creating a foundation that supports our overall wellness. So, Sister Leader, I have a question for you. Have you ever felt stressed by money issues? Whether it's trying to make ends meet, managing debt, or feeling uncertain about the future. Many of us have felt that pressure, and it's easy to fall into a cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. It seems that even when you earn more money, you're still haunted with the feeling that there's never enough to get ahead. On one hand, it seems like you're doing well. You have the house, you have the car or cars, and you have the bag. But there's times when it's not enough and is not enough left, and it certainly feels like you don't have enough to enjoy life the way that you want to. Maybe you're supporting a family member, being a caregiver to them, at least on the financial side of things, which we know is a real experience for many people. And that could be where part of your financial resources are going. Or your significant other. Maybe you're being supportive and covering more costs while he's working to get his business off the ground. That's a reality for many of us as well. Or maybe perhaps there's been a life event where you're now single and you don't have the two incomes in your home, and now you're having to handle it all by yourself. And you're capable of doing it, but there comes at times some lifestyle changes that has to happen when you're now down to just one income versus two. Or could it be as simple as not realizing that you may be living above your means? No one really wants to admit to living above their means. It's almost easier to talk about living from check to check, but in reality, it may not be easy to talk about our finances at all. Certainly, if you grew up in a family where money conversations were scarce, or when money conversations were happening, you were hearing things like money doesn't grow on trees, or I'm broke, or I can't afford that, or I just don't have it. Or maybe comments like, what do you think, we're rich? I don't know how many of those statements you heard growing up, but I knew when I grew up hearing those statements and trying to evaluate it according to what I saw, there was a misalignment because sometimes I would hear my dad saying, "Oh, baby, I'm broke," but he had a wad of money in his hand. So that would always confuse me. Or he would say, I'd say, "Dad, let me have $20 or whatever it was I was asking for at the time," and looking at the wad of money in his hand, and he'll, "Baby, you don't want this. It's just lunch money." And so those things not only created confusion in my mind because I'm seeing a lot of money and I'm talking big bills. I'm not talking about a handful of singles. And then having to be told that they don't have it, even though I'm seeing it, not knowing what it was allocated for, right? And always having reasons why it was never enough. And so my mom, her thing was money didn't grow on trees. You see, or do you think I have a money tree in the back? And, I want to say this. I respect what our parents had to go through, what my parents had to go through to raise us, because everyone has their own story and life experience. And it's easy for us to judge sometimes and take those things for granted when we hadn't walked in their shoes. But here's the thing, we have a choice to do better and change it in our lives. So if you grew up hearing these money comments and statements being made, and that was the only conversation about money that you heard growing up, then it's not completely your fault if you lack the right money habits to get ahead, especially if you've not taken any other initiative in learning financial literacy, learning how to manage your money better. So when you made five figures, you lived check to check. And now you're a six-figure earner and you're still living check to check without changing your habits, without learning how to manage your money better. Your money habits, the money habits you learned and behaviors you learned from childhood are still there. Yes, you can buy bigger things and more things with the amount of money that you earn now, but the habits and how you handle money is where the problem may be for you. And so, unless you are intentional about improving your financial literacy and developing better money habits and a money mindset to help you eliminate and overcome the old programming, it will always keep you financially stuck if you don't invest in yourself to seek to change yourself in that particular area of your life. Because even though we're adults and we've been earning and making money and living on our own for a while, does not mean that we're doing well. That's why I hire coaches and mentors to help me get to the next level. And I've been investing in myself for years because I know that I don't know it all. I'm not always the smartest person in the room, and that sometimes you need the extra help. You don't know what you just don't know. And for most of the women that I've had this talk with, they've all said the same thing. They've all had the same thing in common. None of them learned good money habits from home. And they admit that the first time they even began to learn or understand good money habits or good money management was in college and or in their adult life. As life was changing for them, they learned to do better. So there was really no official training that they had. It was through those life experiences and struggles. And even though they're better, it doesn't mean that they're perfect at it. So there's still many people out there who get stressed out when it comes to paying bills and having to look at their finances. whether it's once a month, twice a month, or whatever the situation may be for you, they get stressed out. And it's overwhelming to sit and look at their financials globally to see where they need to make adjustments and improve their habits. And if it's a situation where no one in the house, if you have a two, if there's two incomes in your house and no one in the house is willing to really look at their financial landscape to see how they're doing financially, you're contributing to your demise and limiting yourself from being able to go to the next level. So you're not the only one out here if this applies to you. And it's time that we start having the conversation around money. You know, the more open we are in a safe space to talk about our money situation, the better we can learn to get ahead, because you just don't know the person, your best friend, or maybe not your best friend. You should know if your best friend is better at handling money than you do. That should be something you should know. However, when we're able to have an open dialogue within our safe space and in our social circles where there is safety and where there is trust and a level of confidentiality, and where we do want to see each other grow and thrive, we can start making better decisions because someone in that group may know more than you and doing better at it than you are. So, you know, have the conversation so you can start making better money decisions for yourself. And here's the thing. If you think you're doing well and you really are, I applaud you for that. Because there's still times when I sit down to figure my stuff out and come up with a plan so I can reassign my money, because I give my money assignments so that it will work for me. Even in those moments, it's still a little stressful for me because that's not my wheelhouse. I have most of the basics down where some people still struggle with those basics. However, I still have two coaches that I work with. So don't get me wrong. I've been in that same financial struggle boat. In fact, I only got better over time as I wanted more and better for my life, such as buying a home. That was the first real look at, okay, what needs to happen. And I tackled it head on. The realtor told me what I needed to do to buy a home. And I wanted to buy a home within a year, and I was focused and on it. But I was so young then when I bought my first home. I believe I was in my 20s. But that was the first real moment of reevaluating where I was financially so that I can get to the next level, being a homeowner, raising my child in a home with a yard like I grew up in. You see, so I got better over time. And honestly, the more I made, the more I spent. Even though I had the house, there were still times I lived check to check. And then I wanted to do better, so I got better. Then I started my liabilities turned into assets. I started owning my cars. I wasn't trading in and upgrading my car all the time. And then I started thinking more long term. And it's a good feeling if you ever get to the place in your life where you're truly debt free and clear. I've been there, and I'm always striving to be there. So it was the cycle of learning for me, but I was intentional about it. And I had to struggle for a while until I got it. Sometimes it was a struggle. Sometimes I did well. Sometimes a struggle. Then I did well again. But I got tired of that cycle, not realizing I couldn't find what the blind spot was for me in my life. But I knew I wanted to change it. I knew that the conversations around money that I heard growing up was not something I wanted for myself. I just couldn't identify with it. I didn't want to grow up. I didn't want to raise my child in the house where hearing, "Oh, I'm broke," or "I can't afford it." I had to change my vernacular, my language. I had to change the way I thought about it. And it didn't happen overnight. I went through many I went through a time when there were many calls from bill collectors, and the stress was so thick and heavy at that time in my life. I just stopped answering the phone. Now I don't answer my phone because of all the telemarketers. But at least it's not bill collectors. I can't recall the last time I had a bill. I mean, my goodness, it's been decades since I had a bill collector call me. But see, I've grown. There's steps to this that you can grow at every level. And then once you master that next level, you go to you keep growing until you can get to the level of wealth or whatever that means for you. So I had to take small steps and be intentional, being intentional about these small steps that I would take, being intentional about my financial goals, and shifting my mindset around money. That was always a part of the process. Even when I bought my first home in my 20s, I had to shift my mindset about money then. And I wasn't making a lot, but I was confident that that was just a start for me. And then I got better, and then I improved, and then I sought help, you see. So I go and I seek the information to learn what I don't know. And then began to feel a true sense of financial freedom and stability. I have not met very many people who have said they know what it feels like to be financially free and clear. And because I have been there, I always want that feeling. I always want to live there. The level of peace of mind, oh my goodness, it's just amazing. Life is greater than great to be financially free and clear. It's attainable, but it requires discipline. So, have you ever found yourself feeling anxious and overwhelmed when looking at your finances? You're not alone if that is something that you experience. Some people just rather not deal with it. They pay their bills and they go on without looking at the damage that had already been done. But it's time you look at it. It's time to have the conversation. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it by yourself, invest in a coach. I know two coaches right now. Well, there's only one that I know that will sit down and work with you on your finances. It used to be two. One is already a millionaire. She's not doing that work anymore, right? So I have someone else who will help you sit down and create a budget for yourself and work those things out for yourself based on what you currently have coming in. And the other one is the one who helped me with my mindset um, in more recent years. So I've done the practical work, and then in more recent years I hired a coach to help me with my money mindset, to feel more confident in the decisions that I was making. Because although I've far surpassed where I used to be, I'm not where I want to be. And again, those financial blind spots that you may not realize that you have. So you're not alone. One day I decided to take a hard look at my financial habits. And what I discovered was so eye opening. It was a moment of realization that inspired me to create a financial wellness plan for myself to support my life and not just my bills, especially the way that I like to travel. So that was so necessary because I travel internationally one to two times a year. I'm not even considering the domestic traveling that I do. So there has to be a financial wellness plan in place for me so I can enjoy my life. One thing I'm committed to doing is not leaving this earth without having lived fully. And I have to say it that way because when my dad died, I remember the last conversation I had with my father before he transitioned. I'd asked him if he'd done everything he really wanted to do. You know, he was retired, he'd been remarried, he had the opportunity and the means and resources. And he said to me, when I asked him, I said, Dad, did you do everything you wanted to do? Right? I didn't know he was going to die before I saw him again, but we knew he didn't have a lot longer. And so he said, no, he didn't. And what blew my mind was that the very one of the things that was on his bucket lists, if you will, was to travel to a place that was only two states over. As long as I have been alive and known my father, he's always taken road trips. It was nothing for him to take a road trip. It's not like he didn't have vehicles because he had that, you see, but he never took the time to do it. And I asked him why, and he said, well, I thought I'd always have more time. And so I vowed in that moment. And then I reestablished, recommitted myself to that vow after he died, before we can get a chance to see him again, to make sure I don't live with the regrets. That was heart-wrenching to me. Like, what? The place you want to go is two states over? You could do that in a day. Well, less than a day, and get there and still enjoy part of the day. So that blew my mind. And so I assigned my money to allow me the lifestyle that I want and the ability to travel domestic and internationally and to connect with other people around the world, to see the world. So I encourage you to do the same. You can do the same without stressing about your money. Financial wellness doesn't mean that you have to become an expert in finances. I'm not by far, but the basics I have down, such as budgeting. I may have to check my numbers two or three times, but I am notorious when it comes to budgeting. I give my money assignments so that I'm not living check to check. So you don't have to be a financial expert. You don't have to have an entire overhaul of your lifestyle. You can start by setting a small achievable financial goals. Give your money assignments. So here are three things you could do to get started. Number one is you could create a budget. A budget does not mean you're broke. I remember having this conversation recently with someone, and this particular woman felt that budget meant that she was broke and she was above having a budget. And I'm thinking to myself, are you serious right now? A budget is nothing more than financial planning for your life. Businesses do it. You financial plan for your business, but you won't create a financial plan or budget for your personal life. And so it was through conversation. At the time, there was a money coach present, and we helped her overcome her own limiting beliefs about money and having a budget, because she grew up hearing that only broke people budget, but that's not true at all, you see. So, those things that can hold you back in life. Number two, you can set aside small amounts of money for savings. When I first started this many years ago, I had to learn to pay myself first. It really felt uncomfortable knowing I had outstanding bills, but then as I got in the habit of paying myself first, it became a no-brainer. And um, it became easier to do as I developed the habit. Number three, how about paying off one debt? One debt that's easy for you to pay off. How about paying it off? How about that? You will feel so good when you eliminate at least one of your debts, whether it's a credit card or maybe, you know, your car payment, something, whatever it is that's outstanding, pay it off and celebrate yourself for doing so. Because as my money mindset coach said to me, basically when you have a bunch of debts out there, liabilities, the creditors are competing with you for your money. And that was like such eye-opening revelation for me, because I was like, wow, I never looked at it that way. But now that you say it, and if you look at credit card interest rates, they are sky high. I recently got a letter in the mail about one of the credit card interest rates increasing. I believe it was 31.99%. When I read the letter, now it's a card that has a zero balance on it. And when I read it, my first thought was get rid of the card. There's no way that I would pay that type of interest rate on a credit card. Now, I also have the habit of, in most cases, depending on what it is, for credit cards with interest rates that high, to make sure I pay off the balance within 30 days. So that's one of the other things that I do. And another key step that you can do is reframe how you think about money. Just because you weren't taught or shown what having a good relationship with money is and does not mean, it doesn't mean that you have to live by those limiting money beliefs. You can do the work, you can do the research, you can hire a coach to help you get to that next, to handle what you currently have, being a good steward with what you have, and then helping you come up with a plan to get to the next level. I started by reading books on smart money management in my 20s, and I still implement those strategies today. So, doing this helped me budget better and think differently about my money. I also learned through self study that money is just a tool that supports your values and your goals. It doesn't define your worth. I didn't know that when I was younger, because everybody was about what car you can afford, where you lived, and what have you, and we didn't deal with people that lived in a certain area, right? But money doesn't define your worth. So get that out of your head. Yes, it allows us to gain certain resources and open doors for us and opportunities and handle situations better when you have more of it. However, it still doesn't define who you are. So when you approach your finances from the mindset of empowerment, you're able to make choices that align with your life vision. And if you haven't revisited your life vision, maybe it's a good time to do that as well. It's important for a wellness journey. And remember, your financial wellness is a journey, and every small step counts. And the most recent thing that I did was invest in a money mindset coach, as I've been saying here, who has helped me and make significant shifts in my mindset about money and in my relationship with money. Again, I couldn't see my blind spots, but working with her really helped pinpoint certain areas that um, I needed to do better in. Some mindsets and habits I needed to let go of. I'm always learning and striving to be and do better in my life. And if you haven't been that way in yours, I hope that this will encourage you to start. I plan to have a money mindset coach on in the future, the one that I worked with, and also the money coach. So there's a money mindset coach and then there's a money coach. I've had both. So I will say that to keep myself on top of things, I still have sessions with both of them. So I don't default back to old ways. And I'm grateful for my money mindset coach and for the money coach. They're two different areas of money. One deal with your mind and your relationship and how you think about money and your limiting beliefs, and the other one helps you with the practical stuff and laying a foundation so you can manage your personal finances well. And so you want to have both because you can change your mindset, but not understand the fundamentals and the tools on how to better manage what you already have. And so I found that for me, having both was very beneficial. And the people that I know work with the money coach, they're all ages, they're at all financial economic status in life. And I mean, sometimes you just, get lost in living and you don't take the time to reevaluate. After all, who's going to penalize you for, not taking a look at your personal finances? No one but you. Your habits is the only judgment and the only thing that's going to penalize you, the only consequence for you ignoring it. But why ignore it when you have the power to make the change? So I'd love to hear what small financial goal you'll be setting for yourself this week, Sister Leader. Share it in the comments below and feel free to use the hashtag well-minded leader so we can support each other on this journey to financial wellness. And if you're ready to take control of your wellness journey, including financial stability, I invite you to join the Step Into Your Best Self 30-day Walk to Wellness waitlist. This 30-day experience is designed to help you build the habits and mindset needed for a balanced, empowered life. Whether you're looking to reduce your stress, gain financial clarity, or focus on personal growth, this journey is here to support you. So let's take our wellness to the next level together and secure your spot on the wait list through the link in the show notes. And let's walk this path to our best selves together. Now, Sister Leader, this wraps up our session for today. Financial wellness, and I want to leave you with this, that financial wellness is more than just numbers. It's about creating stability and freedom that allows you to thrive. We want to thrive in life. Security and financial stability is really important to everyone, but especially to us. Whether you have one income coming in or two incomes in the household, it's important to us, right? And we don't want that poor financial habits to be a source of our stress. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about making intentional choices that support your life vision. And I'm so honored, so truly honored to walk this journey with you. So be sure to join us next week as we continue this series and explore the next pillar of wellness. And as we continue to prioritize our wellness, let's soar higher together.